Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Sunday, March 8th, 2015, around 3:47 p.m. in Berwick, Massachusetts. Nice out today, sunny, highs in the low 40s. We're getting some of these snow melt. It's very slow, a slow and gradual melt. We need that. We don't need a fast melt like 50, 60 degrees or serious rain because flooding could happen. Some news to report. Prayers to free agent NFL player Chris Johnson, who had played for the Jets and the Titans in previous years. He got shot in the shoulder. He is in stable condition in a hospital, so prayers to his family. And the Boston Bruins beat the Detroit Red Wings by a score of 5-3 today this afternoon on NBC Sports. And this was a big win for the Boston Bruins. Another 2 points. They're putting some distance themselves against the Florida Panthers, Philadelphia Flyers, and Ottawa Senators, teams chasing them for the last wildcard berth in the Eastern Conference. The Bruins play the Senators Tuesday night at 7 p.m. in Ottawa. And that's about it on the news. My next subject is about the mbta Orange Line Charlestown Elevated Branch, which was open from 1901 through 1975. It started at Boston's North Station, and it went to Everett, and it went through Charlestown. It started construction in 1899. It was built in It was in service from 1901 through 1975. The Charlestown Elevated Branch started when it came out of a tunnel right near where is the Grand Canal Restaurant on Canal Street in Boston, and it would have a stop at Boston's North Station, and it would run parallel with the Green Line Elevated Branch, which took a left onto Causeway Street, going to Lechmere Square, and it was right near the Boston Gardens. And right now, at that area where the elevated branches are now, a mixed development use property is. Like, mixed development is, first is, on the first floor it's usually restaurants and retail. Second floor and beyond is office space, and higher up is condominiums and apartments. And the elevated line would continue on. It would take a right onto Causeway Street, and it would go underneath Route 93, the central artery. It would continue on a little further down on Causeway Street. Then it would take a left onto North Washington Street, going through Charlestown from 1901 through 1938. There was another branch. It would branch off on Causeway Street, going through the Harbor District, Atlantic Ave. That was called the Atlantic Avenue branch of the elevated line of the Orange Line. And that was kind of a bypass for trains to go to serve the waterfront area and to avoid downtown Boston, but that closed down in 1938 due to an accident. And then the elevated line went over the Charles River and stuff. You could see the scenery of the Boston Harbor and the Constitution and other things. And it continued on. It went over Route 1, underneath Route 1, and then it would stop at City Square, and people could have gotten off and maybe took a short walk to the Constitution and the Constitution Museum in Charlestown. And then it continued on. It ran up kind of parallel to Main Street in Charlestown, and it continued on for a half a mile until it stopped at Thompson Square. Thompson Square is a little short distance away from, if you could have went off there, you went up a hill for a few distance, then you could have went to the Bunker Hill Monument. And also a short distance from Thompson Square is a little shopping plaza where at one time there was a Johnny's Food Master there. That's now Whole Foods, plus there's a Papa Gino's there, and the Charlestown post office, and there used to be a Friendly's ice cream shop. At one time, that Friendly's ice cream shop used to be Blockbuster, and then there was a Radio Shack on one or two other places. And the train would continue on, line would continue on to Main Street, and it would pass by the Schraff's building and Sullivan Square, and it went over Route 99 in Charlestown, and then it was a big building where the MBTA buses would park at night. That were the MBTA shops, and that stop was Sullivan Square. And then from 1901 through 1919, that was the termination point of the Charlestown elevated line of the Orange Line. And then from 1919 through 1975, they built an extension that continued on to Everett. And then the trains would continue on through a right-of-way, and it would go over the Mystic River and continue on into Everett. And it would terminate at Everett Square. Not Everett Square, it would terminate in Everett, which was a little further down, right near, like, close by where McDonald's is now on Route 99 and stuff like that. There were plans to continue that elevated line into Malden and Melrose, but there was a lot of opposition against it because it was going to be all elevated, and the people in Malden and Melrose did not want an elevated train line going through the main street because they didn't want to have it wreck their neighborhood with the elevated line. So they decided against that, and Everett Station was only open from like 6:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night, and for the rest of the service from the MBTA for the Orange Line from 6:30 at night to like midnight, and also on weekends the Orange Line's trains terminated at Sullivan Square. And by the mid-1970s, the elevated Charlestown line was getting old and stuff, and the MBTA relocated the Orange Line. That it was built kind of underground, starting in North Station, and it would go under the Charles River, and it would come up kind of parallel on Route 93 with Community College and Sullivan Square. Then it would go over the Mystic River onto Wellington Square and Malden Center, and it would terminate at Oak Grove. And the Charlestown elevated line was pretty amazing what I heard about it, even though I wasn't even born at all. I never took it because it closed in 1975, and that was a year before I was born. But I heard it was an amazing view and stuff like that. Only like two Orange Line cars would go on it at a time through the elevated Charlestown line, which was pretty amazing and stuff like that. Not too many elevated trains and elevated lines of the MBTA anymore. They've all been destroyed, and everything's basically underground now. The only thing that's kind of elevated is the Green Line from Leechmere to Science Park, and there's a little bit of an elevation for the Red Line when it's going like over the Longfellow Bridge and Charles MGH and stuff like that. And that's a bygone era of Boston, and it was pretty good. Now parts of that old Orange Line elevated line, you could take bus 92, which is from Downtown Crossing to Assembly Square via Sullivan Square and Main Street in Charlestown. That runs kind of parallel to the old Orange Line elevated T route, which it's okay. And that's about it on the elevated Orange Line Charlestown branch. Hope you enjoyed it. Be back, Facebook friends, YouTube followers, Daily Motion, and Twitter with my final video blog of the night, which will be about ESPN college basketball announcer Dick Vitale. It's awesome, baby. Bye now.